What's up YouTube?
This is
This is
Notorious
Garage
Garage
for the first time,
and today
and
I'm going
today
to
I'm
show
going
you
to
how
show
to
you
use
how to use
Xcode
Xcode
7.3
7.3
to develop an application for iOS device. This will be a PickerView application, and we will convert from one unit to another unit, and just read the strings from text field, and when we hit the convert button, the conversion occurs. We'll open Xcode, and it will be Xcode project. It will be a single view application, of course. I'll name it sample picker view, and language will be Swift. Now I'll create here in Xcode documents. It's fine. Now as soon as we hit enter, this screen loads up, and indexing, processing files, all these things goes on background, which we don't have to worry about. So this is the build identifier, and this is the name of your application. Each application has unique build bundle identifier, sorry. So, and this application has deployment target of 9.3. We can reduce it as our wish or increase it as our requirements. So I'll select 9.2 because I had hyper touch of that version. We'll be using main.storyboard to design the layout of our applications, and here we go. This is the view controller. We'll have a picker view, so just drag and drop from picker view, and we'll have one text field. Now this text field will read data from user, and of course we'll need a button. When user presses this button, conversion takes place, and to show the output result we need a label, and we'll be using two of them actually. One says from and the other says to. This will be of little bit big size. Alright, now what we do is we link up these components with our view controller dot swift, this one right here. And to connect from main.storyboard to view controller.swift, we just simply control, click and drag. I use 3-finger drag, so it's really simple. Now I'll call it picker and make sure that its outlet and its type of UIPickerView automatically. Similarly, control, click and drag the text field so that we can read data from the text field, and its outlet, connect, and of course connect the button. We'll connect the button right here, and it says conversion btn or whatever you may call it, but make sure that it's an action rather than an outlet. So it's an IB action function conversion button. Now we have another label. It's a from label and it's an outlet. Hit connect, and another label, it's to label and outlet, and hit connect. Now we are control clicking and dragging all the components from main.storyboard to view controller.swift so that we can make changes to these components as our wish. And now to work with PickerView, IS has certain class which are predefined, and we use those predefined classes, functions, and work accordingly. Now to use PickerView, we need to define a class called UIPickerView data source and UIPickerView delegate. Now what we do here is, now we declare variables. Now to declare variables, we simply say var, and it will be component 1 that will be of type string, and that will be equal to a empty string. And similarly for another component, we'll call it var component 2 of type str string, and that will be a nil value. We are seeing error here basically because of does not conform to protocol UIPickerView data source, and it will go away when we will use that data source. To show up the list of components in PickerView, we'll be defining an array and we'll call it input array. We'll be using array because it is easy to handle various data in array. So it'll be like first component, let's call it or simply I'll write F for Fahrenheit, K for Kelvin, and C for degree centigrade. And in another compartment we will write components of the other picker view. So it will be again C for degree Celsius, it will be K for Kelvin, and it will be F for Fahrenheit. Now we have defined the input array. Now we declare the number of components in the picker view, and we do it by writing number of components, and it will automatically show up and in the code, because now viewing this function we can simply say that it is a function number of components picker view in picker view, number of components in picker view of type UIPickerView, and it returns a value, this particularly symbols return, and it returns a value integer. So we return value. So we will return the components in input array and count it, and we'll return the integer value. So input array dot count. What this line of code will do is it will count the number of input array and return the number of components in the picker view accordingly. Now for the number of components, number of rows in component, we have to declare another function, and let's call it number of rows in component, and this function again returns an integer value. So return input array input array component dot count. So again it will count the components of input array and return respective value. Now we'll need another function, and it's picker view title for row, title for row. I guess Xcode doesn't show up for this, so we declare a function of picker view, and here it is title for row, and this function returns a string, and we return input array component and row. Input array component and row. Now to switch from one selection of the picker view to the other, we use did select row to find out which row is selected. So it's a func picker view did select row, this one. And for did select row, we want to find out which row has been selected. So we do this by switch, and we switch component, and now case 0 means if selected component is component 1. In case 0, we write component 1 is equals to input array component and row, and we say it from label dot text equals to component 1. In case of component 1 is selected, we say component 2 equals input array component and row, and we say to label dot text equals to component 2. And of course we need a default case for switch, and in default case we say break. Now what this line of code will do is, if component 1 is equals to input array of component and component row, then from label is the label which we placed below the text field will be changed to component 1, and to label will be changed to component 2. So what the component selected in the picker view will be selected and shown in the from label and to label. Now we declare another function called selected row in component of type component of type integer, close the parenthesis, and that will return again an integer value, return 2. Now we perform action when the conversion button is selected. What we do is we declare a constant my string that is of type string, which is equals to text field dot text, and another constant called my integer of type double. We use double here, not in integer, because During conversion process, floating numbers will surely arrive. We have to deal with them. Of type myString and var result, that is of type again double, is equal to 0. Now if component 1 is equal to C, and if component 2 is equal to C, we have result equals to my integer, which is the integer value of what user entered into 1.0 as 1 degree Celsius. 1 degree Celsius is equals to 1 degree Celsius. So we have from label dot text is equals to backslash and result. It will change the from label to result, and to label dot te text, that will be equal to done. Now we simply copy and paste it 3 times for if component 1 equals to C, if component 1 equals to K, and if component 1 equals to F, and F, K, and K. And we have here 1 Kelvin equals to 1 Kelvin, and 1 Fahrenheit is equals to 1 Fahrenheit. If component 1 equals to C and component 2 equals to C, then do this. If component 2 equals to C, K, then do this. And if component 2 equals to F, then do this. So we have if component C, K, and F. We copy it, and below that if component 2 equals to, we paste it here, and if component 2 equals to, we paste it here. Now let's search for the logic. We'll just go. Okay. Now Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, from degree Celsius to Fahrenheit, and from Fahrenheit to degree Celsius is -32. So from Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, from Fahrenheit to degree Celsius is minus 9 by 5, -32. Okay, minus 32 into 5 by 9, 5 upon 9. And from Kelvin to, from degree Celsius to Kelvin, from degree Celsius to Kelvin, we have C plus 273.15, 273 plus 15, plus 273.15. And from degree Celsius to 401.8.32, from Kelvin to degree Celsius we have, from Kelvin to degree Celsius we have K minus 273.15, minus 273.15, minus 273.15. Alright, and if K and K is 1.0, and it's Fahrenheit plus 45967, it's plus 45967, 45967, and into 5 by 9. It's into 5 by 9. From Kelvin to Fahrenheit. From Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. From Fahrenheit to Fahrenheit. From Fahrenheit to Kelvin. From Fahrenheit to Kelvin. Into 9 by 5 minus 45459. Into 9 by 5 minus into 9 by 5 minus 459. 0.67. 0.67. Now let's build it and let's run it on iPhone 5s. 12. This is the screen we have been working for. Now let's see it. Here's the picker view, and we do not have any component loaded here. So let's stop it. So let's stop it right here. Paste it here. We'll build it again. Let's see. Build succeeded. Now we run it. Command R, or simply click this button. I'll go ahead and check it. So it's C, K, and F, and again C, K, and F. So we enter data here. What we select is shown here, and we say it's 34 degree Fahrenheit to Kelvin, and it's 1.11. So let's check by converting degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit, and it's a 37. It's 98.6. All right. Another function for removing keyboard. It's a override func touches begin. Touches begin. Set touch UI ID with event UI event and self dot view dot end editing, and the force book it's true, and we can change the keyboard by going to text field, and here multiple tabs, background, pop-up, highlighted, keyboard type, and it will be a number and punctuation or phone pad. Number pad will be fine. So now let's again run this application and we'll see how did it went. Alright, it's CK and F here and CK and F here. Whichever component is selected in respective rows, it is shown here below, and when you enter 38 degrees Celsius and convert it, it says 100.4 degree Fahrenheit, and it's pretty cool. And when we click on the empty side, empty space of app, the keyboard goes away, and when you convert it from one to another, the conversion takes place. Now the basic thing, whatever be the mathematical expression written here or here, it can be anything. This is how you could get grip on a picker view and do whatever you like. You can create a date converter application, area converter application, or pounds, dollar conversion, anything you want to convert from one, or you can create your own unit and start conversion. So I'll be seeing you guys around. This much for today.